Yeah, Mr. Mike, I sent the link to your wife. I'm waiting for you people. I sent a new link. Just you guys should just click on the link and you'll be on. Okay, so please say yes if you can hear me, Mr. Mike. I was expecting you and your wife, but I can see there's just one person here. Can you hear me? Say yes if you can hear me, please, for confirmation. Okay, great. All right, Mr. Mike. Okay, so you can see me. I don't. I can't see you. I don't know your face, but well, I don't think that's very important. Today is Saturday. I don't usually work on Saturday. It's my day of rest, but it's good we're doing this today, right? So we're talking about export, right? Expanding business horizons. Um, Actually, it's because of the how do you call it, lapses in technology. I would have wanted this to be like an interactive session where you hear me and I hear you. But I don't know if you guys, I don't know how good you guys are with Zoom or even with Google Meet, right? So I just decided to do something simple, and that's YouTube Live, right? But please, let's communicate. You can hear me, but give me feedback through the chat right here. You know, if you can, if you stop hearing me, just type it quickly. And if there's anything you want me to react to, just type it. I'll see the message and I'll react to that. So today we want to talk about expanding business horizons, the importance of exporting in Nigeria. You know, it's a basic, a comprehensive guide to starting and succeeding in the export business, right? Export is sweet business. Export is an amazing way to make money, right? Now, I'll give you a little background of business in Nigeria. We are Igbos, and Igbos control trade in Nigeria. Igbos control trade in Nigeria, and this is why Igbos are believed to be the wealthiest tribe in Nigeria because we control trade and by extension the economy of Nigeria, right? But how do we control trade and the economy of Nigeria? It is not through manufacturing, right? It's not through local manufacturing, even though there are some Igbos who are into manufacturing and distribution in both the local and export markets, right? But what Igbos do mostly is importation, right? And that is not good. Igbos are wealthy through trade, but they actually think that's the best they can do. I am of the school that Igbos will be wealthier if we would switch from importation to manufacturing and exportation. The reason is this: um, when you go to when you go into Alaba, you go into Mandelas, you go into Yaba, you go into all the different markets in Lagos, the major markets in Lagos, Aspamda, Trade Fair. You go to Sabongeri, you go to Akure, you go to the different major markets, outside the southeast and within the southeast. Igbos control trade. You go as far as Cameroon, the major markets in Cameroon, distributorship of FMGCs, fast consumable, how do you say those things? Fast consumable goods. Igbos control that. You go to Senegal, it's the same thing. But we're making money for other people by way of importation. We're making money for the banks that we borrow from. Igbos borrow money from the bank. And any loan you take at the bank today is not coming at lower than 30% interest rate. So that means that you're working for the bank. The hard work that you put, the people that make the most benefit of your hard work are the banks. And that's because Igbos have chosen, to dwell on importation, right? Now, Igbos go to China, to Cambodia, to Japan, to America, to Europe, import all manner of goods and bring them into the country and distribute them in the local market. We all rush to buy them. So if you look at it, I don't know I don't know my videos that you and your wife have listened to, but you would have heard me if you had listened to a lot of my videos talking about how we make money for white people or foreigners, whether they are Asians or Europeans or Americans, who will never get a chance to meet, but these people will forever be millionaires and their generations after them because of our system of trade. We go and buy from this, manufacturers, and we bring back to the country, Nigeria, and serve the local market. And we continue to make money for these people, right? While we give them the capacity by the amount of money we ship out, to grow their industries, employ more labor, generate taxes for their government, and build world class economies, right? And that's simply because they are not a consumerist nation, they are manufacturing nations, right? So what we want to see in Nigeria is a country where Igbo people will switch from local trade, local how do you call it, importation to local manufacturing. And so in the southeast, I am the foremost export trainer in the southeast, right? There is no other person I know in the southeast that is vested in the export trade and is talking about it on TV, on radio, and in different trainings. I train for the NEPC, the Export Promotion Council, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and my goal is to build a community of Igbo people who will switch from import to export, to diversify not only the Nigerian economy but also the southeastern economy, right? All the crime, all the difficulties that we see in the country today is as a result of us not creating enough jobs because we depend on importation, and that's really not good. Mr. Mike, are you with me? Please type yes if you're with me. Okay. So so basically, my goal, the reason I started the Export Chamber of International Trade and Investment, you and your wife, and well, normally we adopt just one person under one payment, but I decided to put you and your wife, together under that one payment. Seeing that you guys are running the business together, right? So the reason I started with a few partners, the Export Chamber of International Trade and Investment, is to preach the export message in the southeast, to open the eyes of the southeasterner to the benefits of export and the amount of money you can make, through export. If you look at the objectives of many limited liability companies owned by Igbos, you will always see them have on their document importer exporter, you know. But the problem is that the exporter part is always dormant because what the Igbo man does is to import. So we started the Export Chamber of International Trade and Investment because there are a lot of benefits in export, and Igbo people simply don't know about it. And so we started preaching the export business. And so we've been to different TV houses, we've been to different radio stations, talking about export and the benefits of export, and encouraging Igbo people to switch from, importation to exportation, right? I run the the Urban Marketplace business show at Urban Radio 94.5, right? So I do broadcasting as well. So on this business show, I teach different business principles, not just export, but I also use that, as a channel to promote export in the Southeast, right? So I'm excited when I find people like you who are Igbo, who are interested in export and really want to learn. And so basically that is why we are here today. So our goal is to preach the export message in the Southeast, encourage our people to switch from importation to export. Now, what happens when you switch to exportation is that you will not labor as hard as you used to labor when you used to import. Because like I said, when you import, you're working for the bank. Yes, you make some profit, but all the profit that you could have kept for yourself, you're sharing with the bank, and that's not fair, right? And so, but as an exporter, you keep all the profit because actually the trade is just between you and the export buyer, right? And so when the export buyer pays you, he pays you in hard currency, giving you room to make a lot more money. Imagine that you could, something like, for example, Aboniki, right? This is selling in the Nigerian market for 500 naira, right? Or 550 naira. If you export this to America or you export this to Europe, you will not sell this anything less than $3 to €3 to €5, right? So, but let's use the minimal figure of €5. So you export this, you sell it for €5. €5 today gives you about 7,000 naira, right? Gives you about 7,000 naira. Something that you bought for 550, of course, less than 550, because what they sell it at the pharmacy is about 550. But if you're buying it from the Aboniki company, you'll be getting it for as little as 350 a piece. And then when you export it, you'll be making as much as 7,000 naira on one. But remember your shipping cartons and your shipping containers. When you multiply this to the half a container or a full container of Aboniki, then you can imagine how much money you'll be making as return on investment. So there's no two ways about it. Export is the way forward, and this is why we preach the export message, right? So today we want to talk about why export is important to the Nigerian business or the Nigerian businessman today, right? So we want to give you a comprehensive guide to starting and succeeding in the export business, right? So why must every business in Nigeria need to go or branch into export? In this current in the current economic challenges that we have, inflation and currency devaluation is number one, right? Now, see the picture here. Every country in the world or every economy in the world is as wealthy or as healthy as the people that live in it, right? Every economy is as healthy as the economy of the workers of that country, right? What do I mean by this? In Nigeria, for example, we have an inflation rate, a food inflation rate of over 40%. We have a regular inflation rate of close to 40%, right? And minimum wage is still at 30,000 naira. A bag of rice is selling for close to 100,000 naira. And most workers are earning 30,000 naira. So what that simply means is that workers are not able to buy rice anymore. So that means if your salary is between 30 and 100,000, there are certain things you cannot afford to put money in anymore. There are certain things you cannot afford to pay for anymore, right? So that means that more Nigerians have, joined the multidimensional poverty index level, right? And so what that means is that a lot of the things that these families used to spend money on, they won't spend money on anymore because they can afford to spend money on those things, right? Because of the bad economy, because of low salaries, and because of inflation, the hike in prices in the marketplace. And this wicked government of ours continues to increase the price of petroleum products, petrol, fuel, gas, kerosene. What this simply means is that because petrol is tied to every aspect of this economy, it is tied to the cost of transportation, It is tied to the cost of food. It is tied to the cost of accommodation. It is tied to every single cost in Nigeria. And so, because we have a demonic, evil government that doesn't care about the citizens of Nigeria, they keep hiking the prices. And that means the prices of commodities in the marketplace continue to go up, right? And so that means it affects your prices. Now, 5 years ago, the people who would have been able to buy your ginger powder, the people who would have been able to buy your spices are not able to buy them now, right? And so what does that do to your business? It cuts down on the spending power of the Nigerian populace, and that means that the number of people who should have walked in through your business door to come and patronize your business has been reduced drastically because they just don't have the money, to spend on those things. They are looking for alternatives, right? Nigerian families are now having to draw what we call an economics is a list of the most important things. It's not Indomie anymore. It's not bread anymore because Nigerian families can't afford to buy Indomie anymore. They can't afford to buy bread anymore. They can't afford to buy cake. They can't afford to buy beverages. So what are they now having to do? Afford to buy yam. These are staple foods that Nigerians could fall back on a couple of years ago when the economy was we considered the Buhari economy tight, and Nigerians fell back on gari and yam. Today, many Nigerian families can't buy yam, can't buy gari anymore. So that means Nigerians are not spending. And so if Nigerians are not spending, businesses are failing, right? Look at the number of multinational companies that left Nigeria in the last 1.5 years, right? And that's simply because they're not seeing the amount of patronage they used to get. So because of that, they had to shut down and leave the country. Now, other local businesses have shut down. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of businesses, small businesses, have shut down in the last 1 year because they can't keep up. They don't have the capital. They're not able to feed their families and sustain their businesses. So their businesses are shutting down. Even Dangote, the wealthiest man in Africa, is also complaining because Dangote is now saying, Dangote at the beginning of the year, Dangote fell from the richest man in Africa to the second richest man in Africa. The first man became a South African, but I think Dangote has retaken that position again, and that is because Dangote has businesses scattered all over Africa. Right? So he's not dependent on just the Nigerian economy for his income. He's making money from Tanzania. He's making money from East Africa. He's making money from, different African countries whose economies are doing very well. And so because of that, Dangote is able to retake his position as the wealthiest man in Africa, and he's back to the top, right? Now, other businesses in Nigeria who have not diversified like Dangote and do not have alternative markets where they make money are shutting down, right? So why is it important for you to move into export? So that you can diversify your income streams from just the Nigerian economy to other economies. That means that you're able to make US dollars or euros or different currencies, depending on the country where you ship your commodities. So I understand that you're interested in the US market and you're interested in the European market, and that's why you're looking for HACCP and FDA. It's a very good move. It's the right move in the right direction, because what that does for you is that you will have a constant flow of US dollars into your domiciliary account, and that serves as a buffer against the inflation that is crippling Nigerian economies. So I want to say to you, kudos. So that's number one reason it's important to go into the export business. Number two, I want to believe, of course, your business is registered with the CAC. So basically, we want to talk about. I've explained why it's important. One of the reasons it's important to, go into export, and that's because of high inflation, so that you can actually make forex, and make a lot of money, right, and sustain your business. Now, there are a number of ways you can actually export, but we'll get into that. But before we get into that, I want to explain the basics of the export business and how you need to start. So you've done the basics. That is, of course, register your business with CAC. Now, what kind of businesses in Nigeria are qualified to become export businesses and get the export licenses? BNs, what we call the BN, business names, are not qualified. What we call BNs are ventures. Ventures are not qualified to get the export license. So in the Nigerian economy, business name companies are not allowed to export. They can't get the export license. Who can get the export license? One is the LLC, a limited liability company, or a non-governmental organization, or a cooperative. So that means that cooperatives can get the export license and officially become exporters. limited liability companies can become exporters, and non-governmental organizations can become exporters. That's NGOs can become exporters. These are the three categories of companies or business entities that can get the export license and become exporters, right? So now you get the export license. A lot of people don't know, including you and your wife, because when we spoke last week, you guys told me that you've been putting a lot of money into getting your NAFDAC. NAFDAC is important for the local Nigerian market, right? Because it's a certification that allows you to actually sell food products, processed food in the local Nigerian market. It's also important for other African countries. As you may know, Nigeria has ratified and signed into law the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, right? The African Continental Free Trade Agreement is a legal union that allows the 54 African countries, well, not the 54 of them, there are a few other African countries who have not ratified nor signed it into law. So that means there are just about, well, the people who have signed and ratified the law are more, the countries who have signed and ratified the law are more than those who have not signed. So that means Africa is, ready to intra-trade, right? What we have suffered for so many years is that the volume of trade between Africa and America, Africa and Europe, Africa and Asia outweighs the volume of trade, within African countries, and that is part of why our economies continue to suffer, right? These Western countries, Western and Asian countries, come to Africa, buy our resources for cheap, right? Take them back to their countries, process them, and reship them back to Africa as finished goods and make us pay a very exorbitant price for them, right? But with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, we are happy that Africans can begin to trade. Nigeria can trade with South Africa, can trade with Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Togo, Mali, Mauritania. We can trade amongst each other, and that means we can actually have our currencies begin to work within the Africa and give us an Africa that is more economically strong and viable, right? So NAFDAC is also a requirement to trade with some of these African countries. Something we also cover, there's something else we call MANCAP as well. MANCAP is the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. There is a certification they give as well that you have to put on your packet and on your cartons, right? And once you have MANCAP, your goods are permitted to travel within Africa. But when it comes to traveling to Europe and America, where your interests lie, you need FDA or HACCP, HACCP, not NAFDAC. So this is why a lot of Nigerian companies who are in food processing continue to chase NAFDAC, chase after NAFDAC, and at the end of the day, it's difficult to get NAFDAC, even though it shouldn't be that difficult, but it's so difficult to get NAFDAC. And so it cuts down on the number of, or the volume of trade that these countries would have actually had between them and Europe and America. The same thing happened to you. So you can see the amount of money you and your wife have put into getting the NAFDAC, actually not knowing that you don't need NAFDAC to ship to the US and Europe, right? So this is a problem that many companies face. So since you are interested for a start in the European and American market, what you need is HACCP for the European market and FDA, Food and Drug Administration of America, for the American market. And you have started the process. Hopefully, you will be shortlisted, and they will help you get it. I have HACCP. NEPC, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, helped me get HACCP, and a whole lot of other people in our communities. So I want to believe that in a short time to come, you and your wife will get the HACCP that you need, for your export activity to the US and America. And once you get that, your products are good to go, right? But I've seen your two of your products. They're not bad at all. But you must always strive to upgrade, your packaging, because to break into the market, no matter how you get HACCP and FDA, now the success of your product relies majorly on the beauty of the packaging, the proper packaging, and the implementation of proper principles of packaging, right? So that is absolutely very important, because in Igbo they say "Anya na-ebuze eli before ọnụ elibe." It's a general human principle. It's not just an African thing. Overseas as well, it's important. They pay very good, very big attention to packaging and how beautiful the packages are. A lot of the products that we get in America are unsafe for human consumption, even though they've been approved by CDC and FDA, right? But they're not safe for human consumption. But if you look at these American products, they look impeccable. They look very beautiful, right? And then they use other principles to actually hide the fact that some of them contain some components that are not good for human consumption. But American businesses have mastered, the skill of proper packaging, and that's why the products, are able to go global. So you must always upgrade. You must strive to upgrade, your packaging, because that is absolutely very important. Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about the most important element of export, right? The most important element of export. This training that we started today will go for a couple of weeks. Export is vast, right? Export is vast, but I started with the basics of export, which is, registering your business, getting your export license, getting your certifications, whether it's NAFDAC or MANCAP or FDA or HACCP. These are absolutely very important depending on where you want your goods to go. NAFDAC is important for you for the local market. While you are chasing the export market, I'm sure you're still interested in selling locally, because selling locally gives you the cash flow that helps you run the business locally before your export dollars begin to come in, right? If you're fortunate, you can get the two running at the same time. So while you're making money from the local market, you're making money from the export market, and that's a win-win situation for you and your company, right? So today, uh, what are the basic elements that you need to know about the export trade? Export trade, of course, gives you the opportunity, to make money in US dollars, in euro. I am not just a trainer, and I'm also not only a broadcaster, but I'm also a practicing exporter. I've been exporting since 2001. That's a very, very long time, right? Now, there are different kinds of uh, export, right? One is textile, right? Textile is the export of fabrics, finished, ready to wear clothings, right? Like boxers, like native attire, our senator, our jumper. These are all under, how do you call it? All under fabrics, right? Textile. Are you there, Mr. Mike? Are you there? And are you understanding what I'm saying? Please type yes. Hello. Okay, okay, okay. All right. So textile is one branch of export. Now the other branch is solid minerals. So when it comes to solid minerals, that involves iron ore, tin ore, gold, cobalt, lithium, titanium, limestone, petrochemicals, crude oil, greases, all of the different solid minerals that Nigeria is blessed with. Nigeria is blessed, with a lot of solid minerals. Nigeria is one of the most blessed countries in the world in terms of solid minerals. The one country that I'm not sure, Nigeria, how do you call it? Nigeria is greater than in the blessings of solid mineral is Congo DRC. Congo DRC, for me, to the best of my knowledge, is the most blessed country when it comes to solid minerals, right? And that's why they've been fighting a war, a civil war that has ravaged their people the last 30 years. That's why America has planted Ebola, that's ravaging lives, in Congo DRC. They have the last 30 to 40 years been destabilizing Congo DRC to ensure that their people will never, see the light of day, let alone talking about their solid minerals, right? So, in collaboration with corrupt politicians of the Congo DRC, they have destabilized that country, and that's why they're not making all the profit they should be making from their solid minerals, right? But Nigeria is the second most blessed country in the world in terms of both human and natural resources. So we have a number of natural resources. So under solid minerals, Nigeria has a lot. Very close to us here in Enugu, Abakiliki. Is blessed with iron ore, with different kinds of solid minerals. A former governor of Ebonyi State went to China, right? And the Chinese people took him to a warehouse, and they were showing him some solid minerals that came from Nigeria, where you could earn as much as $45 million, $45,000 a truck, coming from Nigeria, coming from Ebonyi State. And the governor was like, "What? This is coming from my state. You mean that we can make $45,000 a truck of this solid minerals, and it's coming from my state, and I don't know about it, right?" So that is how it is. These foreigners know about the values that Nigeria has as a nation, and come to get it, while our people don't even know. A third of how do you call it? 1/4, even actually not even Nigerians practically don't know anything about the solid minerals that we have, right? But anyway, solid minerals is one of those exports that you can go into. I am also into solid mineral export. Now you have agro and agro allied export. Agro export means the exportation of farm produce, right? So there are so many farm produce that can be exported, like yam. Nigeria is the largest producer of yam in the world, and so yam export is supposed to generate Nigeria so much money. But the truth is, Nigerian yam is not exporting as much as it should be, because of the way Nigerians do things, and because of also the negative influence on the European Union and America against Nigerian exports. Right? Ghana is exporting more yam, than Nigeria, and yet we produce much more yam than Ghana, right? The number of products that are not able to leave Nigeria but can leave through Ghana. So what many of our Nigerian exporters do is, instead of ship their yam through Nigeria, they ship it through Ghana. They first of all go by land freight to Ghana, and then export their yam through Ghana, right? Now, the other disadvantage that Nigeria has over Ghana is the shipping costs are cheaper in Ghana than they are in Nigeria, right? And so because of that, many of our exporters, go through the Ghana, how do you call it, seaports to ship their goods out. So solid mineral is one, agro produce is one, agro allied, of course, can involve processed agro products, right? And so that's another branch of export. Now, there's another branch of export that is absolutely very important, and it's part of. I'm going to talk to you about it today, because you asked me if there's something else that one can export that is really economically viable, and I said yes. So I'm going to tell you one of it today. You can become a merchant exporter as well. When I was discussing with you on the phone, with you and your wife on the phone, I guess it was the first day that we spoke, I told you that one of the major problems that Nigerians have is that they believe they have to be the manufacturers of the products that they export. That's a very big mistake. You don't have to be the manufacturer of the products that you export. As a matter of fact, I discourage a lot of people I mentor a lot of my mentees, to not start with manufacturing their own products for export, because what happens is that you kind of tie down a lot of your capital. You tie down so much of your capital, setting up your manufacturing outfit. Imagine how much money you and your wife have invested in equipment. Now, before you talk about equipment, you would have built a warehouse or rented a warehouse. That's a lot of money in a place like Lagos. Now, after building or renting the warehouse, now you have to manufacture, you have to buy equipment, which is another capital intensive project. After buying the equipment, you have to employ people to man those equipment. That's another overhead, that drains your capital, right? Now, after you have, employ those people, then you talk about packaging, you talk about distributorship. All of this costs money. All of these cost money. And at the end of the day, most businesses never get to the point of exporting, because after spending all of this money, they begin to struggle to recoup their investment. And it takes so many years, right? But there are better ways to do it. That is not to discourage you guys who have taken the export route. If I met you guys before you started your investment journey, I would have given you these routes, because if you start with this route I'm about to tell you now, then you generate a lot of capital. After you've made a lot of profit through export, then you can now start investing in equipment and your own local manufacturing, right? Now, there's something we call outsourcing in manufacturing. Outsourcing means that, okay, I want to make spices in my own brand name. So that means all I simply need to start with is register my business, register, design, choose a name for the business, choose a name for the products, then get a lawyer to register the trademark for me. After I've registered the trademark, that means that the business is mine, the trademark is mine. Then I look for a company to outsource my production to, a company that is already established, a company that is already very big, a company that is bigger than mine. They have better equipment, they have more capital in their business, they have more staff, they have more experience, they have NAFDAC, they have ISO, the different ISOs that are needed, for product manufacturing and distribution. They have FDA, they have HACCP, right? They have NAFDAC. They have a relationship with NAFDAC. They have a relationship already with a lot of the agencies that facilitate international trade. So what I will do when I outsource to them is leveraging on their years of experience, right? That is what I gain by outsourcing to them. So that means I wouldn't need to chase NAFDAC. They will be the ones to manufacture my product in my own brand name and in the colors that I've chosen with my logo, right? But what they do for me is that they go ahead to call on NAFDAC to come and give them a number, a certificate for the product that they are manufacturing for you. So NAFDAC comes to their facility, inspects their facility. As a matter of fact, NAFDAC doesn't need to come and inspect because most of these big companies have a relationship with NAFDAC already. So all they need to do is call their contact at NAFDAC and say, hey, we have a new product and we need NAFDAC for it. They do the process, like you guys will say sharply, like quickly, right? In a matter of weeks, or at the most 1 month, the NAFDAC numbers are out and they put it on your product. So you see, you as a beginner, you're chasing NAFDAC is difficult for you. NAFDAC doesn't know you. You don't have a relationship with NAFDAC yet. But these big companies already have a relationship with NAFDAC, right? And so what that does for you is that you're able to get your NAFDAC quick because they have ISO. Maybe ISO 2000 or ISO 2003 or whatever ISO is needed for that product. They already have it already. And so what they will do is automatically place that ISO number on your product because it is manufactured in their facility, right? If they already have FDA, if they're already shipping to the US, they have FDA, right? So it's easy for them to get a new FDA for you or just tag your product with their own FDA number, right? And the same thing happens with HACCP already. They may not necessarily need to register a new HACCP because they already have HACCP. All they need to do is based on understanding between you and this company, they put all of this number, the ISO, the HACCP, the MANCAP, the SON on your product, right? And so you wouldn't have to spend individual money to get all of these certifications because they get it for you, right? And so that means that they continue to manufacture for you for a couple of years. And all you simply need to do is take your products and export them and even distribute to the local market. But you have, gone the wise way of outsourcing. Now, if it gets to that time when you think, okay, now I've made a lot of money, I think I can now go ahead and manufacture. You can still negotiate with them. They could actually charge you a fee, to release those certifications to you. They will release your NAFDAC that they've gotten in your name and in your brand name to you. They may not, of course, they won't release your FDA, the FDA, because it is theirs. But because of the amount of money you have made and the experience you've had in shipping to the US or Europe, getting FDA and HACCP will not be a difficult route. But anyways, we're trusting God that you will be able to get your FDA and HACCP through this application that you've made the past couple of days. So that is one way, to go about it, right? Now, the other way to go about it that I tell people is instead of outsourcing, you can actually take the products that these companies are manufacturing. You can take Dangote Indomie. You can take Dangote flour. You can take Dangote sugar and export them around the world. This way, you don't even have to commission the products. You don't even have to have a brand name. You don't even have to have a brand design. You don't even have to have a trademark. All you need to do is register your company and get your export license, and you carry from the open market, or you go to Dangote distributors who will sell to you at a much cheaper rate and take their products and ship them all around the world and make your money. That's the kind of export that I do. right? That is a kind of export that I do, even though that I have products that I have designed that I want to manufacture, but I'm not bothering myself with those because, because of the certification wahala in Nigeria. I just carry goods from, distributors, and I ship them overseas. Now, that is one way to go, and that is what we call merchant exporter. A merchant exporter is somebody that exports products manufactured by other companies, not their own products. So you can carry Dangote, you can carry Honeywell, you can carry spices. Some of the very viable prices some of the very viable products that you can ship overseas that make so much money are shea butter. Shea butter is an export product, is a major export product. I will actually teach you one way to know if a product is a good export product. You're going to have to use your phone to do it, and I'll show you that very soon. So you can find a company that is manufacturing good quality shea butter hair cream. Go there, give them 1, 2, 3 million, 5 million, carry their goods. Find a company or in America that buys shea butter from Nigeria and become their supplier, right? You ship to them. One other way you can also export is by registering through Amazon, registering on Amazon, what we call Amazon FBA, right? Shea butter is a bestseller on Amazon FBA. That will be a topic for another day. That is exporting through Amazon. Amazon FBA means fulfillment by Amazon. I don't know if you know that. It means fulfillment by Amazon. That means you take a lot of this. Do you know that this Tetmosol cream, this Tetmosol medicated soap is selling very well on Amazon? And these are Americans. Americans are actually selling them, right? Nigerians are shipping them there, but Americans are also reselling them, right? Americans are buying them on Amazon and reselling them because, it helps them with rashes and all kinds of skin problems. And they don't have a product in America that, as affordable as Tetmosol to treat those things. So they're actually, buying a lot of our Tetmosol, right? Our shea cream is the same thing. Dudu Osun is a bestseller on Amazon. Dudu Osun is really selling in America and selling in Canada and Europe, right? Our Gari is selling on Amazon. Many Nigerian products, many Nigerian spices are selling on Amazon. So your spices can actually go on Amazon, and that's one way, to become a merchant exporter, taking other people's goods and shipping them overseas. Well, you have started manufacturing already, so it's a win-win situation for you, right? But while you are, exporting your own manufactured goods, nothing stops you from branching out and taking Dangote or Honeywell or any other product that you see that are very good and exporting them as well, right? So these are the different kinds of export that we have. Now, the other export that people don't know about but gives a lot of money is services. Service export is a major export, and the service industry powers the commodity trading industry. So without services, you cannot have commodity export, right? You cannot have a product export. So service is very important. But what are the kind of services that you can export? You can export if you're an accountant, if you're a journalist, like I'm a journalist, I can do voiceovers for companies living overseas. If you're a web designer, you can export web designing skills overseas, right? And so these are some of the skills. If you're an auditor, if you're an accountant, if you're a teacher, people are living in Nigeria and teaching Chinese children, English. These children live in China, but these people are teaching them through online platforms, teaching them English. Some other Nigerians are teaching Igbo. Many Nigerians who live overseas and their children cannot speak Igbo. They are hiring Igbo teachers in Nigeria, and these Igbo teachers are teaching their children English, Igbo, Yoruba, Efik, and they live in America and UK and Europe, and their children are learning with teachers in Nigeria. So they're exporting their teaching abilities, and making US dollars, right? Now, if you're an accountant, like I said, it's the same thing. If you're a video editor, if you're a data analyst, that means you can do data analysis. You're a data scientist. You're a copywriter. You have different technical skills, digital skills. You can actually live in Nigeria. You can actually become what we call a digital nomad. That means you can live in Nigeria or live anywhere else and sell your services globally and make money. So these are the different kinds of export we have. Many Nigerians don't know about export, but export is profitable. It's something that we all can make money from just simply by either exporting solid minerals or manufactured goods or agro-allied or agro products, farm produce. You can, when it comes to farm produce, you can export cassava, dry cassava. You can export yam, split ginger. You can export there are a few products that you cannot export in the agro industry, and maize is one of them. You're not allowed to, export maize because our industries need maize for manufacturing, right? So these are the different kinds of export exportables or export we have, right? And you can plug into any of them. Now, between agriculture and export, the value chain is very large. Now, a lot of people think, again, another mistake people make is that people who do not have export skills think that they must be exporter. Everybody must be an exporter because we must earn dollars. No, you don't have to jump into export if you don't have experience. You can actually plug into any of the export value chain. And one of them is there are people who are suppliers, exports for suppliers. They don't ship overseas, but they are sourcers exportable in Nigeria. Line, you can't source it. You don't know where to find. You don't know the farmers. You don't interact with the farmers. You have no relationship with the farmers, so you can't. So this sourcer is a person that has a relationship with the farmers and different producers and manufacturers, and so they can source anything, and they are making cool money from agriculture, from sourcing, right? Somebody can say, "I need 5 containers of charcoal," even though Nigerian government is kicking against charcoal, but people still export charcoal and make so much money, right? So these sources know where to find anything that needs to be exported outside Nigeria, whether it be trees, timber, whether it be split ginger, whether it be agro, whether it be a solid mineral, they know where to find them. And so anybody can plug into the value chain of export, now generate a lot of capital, and then you can now invest, in manufacturing. This is what I recommend for my mentees. Plug into the value chain of export, generate a lot of capital through the value chain, and then when you've made a lot of money, you can now go into your passion, which is manufacturing and exporting, right? And so that's what I also advise about doing merchant exporting. Export other people's products. When you make enough money, now you can start manufacturing your own and exporting as well. Now, I told you I was going to tell you a product that is a bestseller, that many Nigerians are making so much money from. Indomie noodles. It's not just Indomie. Noodles, Nigerian noodles are selling like wildfire in Kenya, right? So you can continue to do your business of manufacturing, but you can simply, export Indomie or noodles, any kind of noodle, Honeywell noodles or any kind of noodles to Kenya. It sells like wildfire, right? Nigerian hair, Nigerian this, how do you call it? Wigs. Nigerian wigs are selling in Europe, selling in Germany like crazy. There are so many products from Nigeria that are sourced in Nigeria that are actually, selling like wildfire in different African countries. So East Africa is a good market for made in Nigerian goods. East Africa has some of the strongest economies. Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, they have some of the strongest economies in Africa. You can imagine that 15,000 Kenya shillings is equals to 100 US dollars, where in Nigeria it is 170,000 for $100, right? So the Kenyan economy is doing much better than the Nigerian economy, and so this is what you have to look out for to know, the countries that are a good fit for you to sell to. You have to check income per capita. You have to check GDP, right? Of course, it is. You divide the GDP of a country with the population of the people in that country. It gives you the income per capita. It gives you, an idea of the purchasing power of the people in that country, and if that country is a good fit for your export. So these are some of the things that you have to look at. So East Africa is a good destination for export market. Now, there is another way. There are a number of ways to find your export buyer. But before I go into how you can find your export buyers, well, let me show you how you can determine if a product is a good fit for export. Please pick up your phone. If you picked up your phone, say I have. Please type I have. Okay. So please give me another feedback. Are you learning anything from what I'm saying? Is it making sense? Feedback, please. Am I making sense? Okay. So please go to your open to your Google Chrome. What kind of browser do you use? What kind of browser do you use? Google Chrome, Safari. What kind of phone are you using? Do you use Android or Apple? Feedback, please. Okay, Google Chrome. Okay, so I want you to, you see, you see the three dots. You see the three dots here. Are you seeing these three dots? When you open your Google Chrome, you see these three dots here. Are you seeing the three dots here? Okay. Yes. So if you're seeing that three dots, you click on it. If you click on it, it gives you a drop down, right? If you click on it, it will give you a drop down like this. Let me remove it so you can see what I'm doing. So you see the three dots, right? You click on the three. Oh my God. So you see that the three dots, right? Click on it. It gives you a drop down. You go all the way down. All the way down, you can see. You can see, if you go all the way down, you can see here. You can see desktop site. So if you can see that desktop, you can see that box there. You click on it, right? So if you click that box, if you check that box, it turns your Google Chrome to desktop, just the same way it appears on your laptop or on your desktop computer. Before you check that box, you had Google Chrome for Android, but we need to convert. Yes, totally. Anything. So you click on it, it converts your Google Chrome from Android, from Google Chrome mobile to Google Chrome desktop. That is where we need you to be, right? So if you have done that, you see up here, you will see your taskbar where you type whatever you want to search. I want you to type shea butter. I want you to search shea butter. Shea butter, SHEA butter, BUTTER, shea butter. Then you click send. Are you with me? Are you there? I'm using my phone on this training. I can't do all this. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. All right. Anyway, so once you type shea butter, at the foot part of your taskbar, at the foot part of your taskbar, you'll see a number there. And usually this number runs in the billions, right? Usually this number runs in the billions. And that will tell you the number of hits the product that you have searched have had the past few seconds, right? and that tells you if that product is in demand. It tells you that people, billions of people, have been searching for that product globally, right? And that tells you if a product is a good fit for merchant exporting, right? So that's what I wanted to show you right there. There are other softwares, of course, premium softwares that you have to pay for that lets you know the best products that you can actually ship to Amazon, or ship online, or ship overseas, or buy. It will show you data on the companies that buy these products, and how in demand it is, and how profitable these products are. These softwares are premium softwares, meaning that you have to pay for them. They're subscription softwares that you have to pay for annually, right? And of course, Nigerians don't like to pay for softwares. And so this is why I show people how to use Google Chrome or Google, to find out if a product is a good fit for export, for merchant exporting, right? Now, I've given you a preamble on export and, the different kinds of export we have and how you can go about it. Now, the most important element in export, and this is where we're going to end for today, the most important element in export is finding the export buyer. Now, in our export community, how we know people who are not exporters, they will tell you, I want to export, but I don't have the money. That's a lie. When somebody tells you that money is the reason they have not been exporting, it means that they are not an exporter, because money is never a problem in export. Money is never a problem in export. In export, the export buyer finances the export. All you spend money on, you as the business, all you spend money on is one, registering your business, two, getting your export license, three, promoting your of course, three, setting up your business, like getting an office. You have to have an office. You have to have a proper office, so that if a foreign company that you're corresponding with needs to verify you, and they send an agent to go and verify your office, they need to come to that office and be sure that that office is existent and there is somebody there, from the company that has been talking to them by email or by phone or by WhatsApp. Many people have lost, export opportunities because they give an address on their website, or their export license has one address, and their CAC license has a different address, right? And then they start corresponding with a potential buyer, and the potential buyer reaches out to NEPC or NIPC, Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, to verify this potential exporter. And they say, oh no, this person you're talking to does not exist in this address. That means you've lost that exporter. So it is important for you to have the same address you have on your CAC document on your NEPC document. And this address has to be updated at all times. So that means if you got your license when you were at a different address, now that you are at a different address, you must upgrade. It is absolutely very important. You must upgrade so that you will have updated information on your documentation and your website. So the information you have, the address, the phone numbers that you have on your website should be the same on your CAC documentation, should be the same thing as on your NEPC documentation, so that they don't think you're a 419, right? So that's number 3. Number 4 thing you need is to, of course, promote your export business. And this is where many exporters fail. Many people have been in our export communities for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and they're still not able to export, and that is simply because they don't know how to find the export buyer. That is the major challenge of export for exporters in Nigeria. Not money, not sourcing of export commodities. It is finding the export buyer. Now, finding the export buyer is not complicated, but the way we do things in Nigeria is complicated. Now, the many exporters who have gone before us, gave the Nigerian exporter a bad name. Example, I'll give you 2 examples. There were early exporters who used to ship cashew nuts, right? And so imagine that a company orders cashew from Nigeria. They've done the vetting process, they've done the verification, they've reached out to NAPC, they've reached out to NIPC, and sometimes at that time in the early days, they didn't even need to verify. They didn't even need to reach out to NIPC. They just find you, and somehow maybe at a trade show, they see you and you say you can supply. They are being desperate and trusting that you will deliver. Will send you money, right? Because those early days, they used to send money. They can do a wire transfer, trusting that that you will supply. And so there was a case where this exporter was supposed to ship a container or a certain quantity, right? And it's supposed to back them in 50 kg bags, right? So what he did was he will put 10 kg of stone in the 50 kg bag and then put 40 kg of cashew on top. So when he got to the seaport, he will put it in front of customs. Customs will put their hand, put their tools inside the bag and pull it up, and it is all cashew. They put it on the weighing machine, the large industrial weighing machines you have at the seaport. It will all clock 50 kg. The custom will clear it. They will containerize it and ship it overseas. When it got to the buyer found out that all the bags were 40 kg cashew and 10 kg stone, right? What does that do? That buyer told his chamber of commerce that this is his experience, and decided that he would never buy from Nigerians anymore. And so that is why many Nigerians are finding it difficult to find international buyer. It's difficult for you to convince them that you're genuine because of things that people have done in the past. Now, another person shipped a commodity, and for example, to ship to China now, there's a certificate that you're supposed to get, right? And so you and the buyer have all agreed, and you will ship. But there's something we call GACC. It's a custom document that China has to. You have to fill that form and send it to China before your goods leave, right? So that China will know that you are on their database. It's free of charge though, but you know how our people are. Nigerians don't like to do things the proper way. And so you end up shipping the goods. When the goods get to China, China will search their database and find that company, your company that shipped the goods, is not on their database. They will seize the goods. They will either say, those goods will have to return to Nigeria and you will pay for the shipping cost of returning it to Nigeria, or they just seize it and destroy it, right? And so if the person who shipped the goods had paid beforehand, he's now the one losing the money. If he hasn't paid beforehand, if he had actually opened an LC and you ship the goods, he's not able to receive the goods. China Customs destroys the goods. You are the one losing money. So there are so many cases of Nigerians doing things haphazardly that has led up to, the Nigerian exporter losing money or losing overseas clientele. And so because of these issues, it becomes difficult for the Nigerian exporter to make, to actually find export buyers, right? Now, but there are a number of ways that you can find the export buyers. I'll tell you the number one way, right? The number one way to find an export buyer is by attending trade shows, right? I am one person that has benefited from trade shows. Having lived overseas since 2001, I have worked in different countries in Asia, in Europe, and different African countries as a trade consultant, right? And of course, and as a businessman. So I've attended many trade shows in Germany, in Portugal, different trade shows, globally. And it usually benefits me because I know how to sell my market. So one easy but expensive way to find the export buyer is to attend trade shows. But why it is not working anymore is that to travel overseas for an exporter that is beginning, you have to get your visa. Of course, to process the visa costs you money. After you get the visa, you have to book your hotel for 1 week or 2 weeks, depending on how long you want to be in that country. And again, you have to pay for the trade show. Some trade shows are not free, so you have to buy the tickets, right? And after you've done that, you now buy the flight ticket. Flight tickets are not, anywhere you're going now, flight tickets are not anything less than 1 million naira. Even South Africa here, flight tickets are up to 1.2, 1.5 million, let alone going to Europe or America, right? So if you manage to get the visa, you have to buy the flight ticket, you have to pay for hotel. So it's become an expensive way to find your export buyers at trade shows, right? So that's why that route has become unreachable for many Nigerians, right? The other way that you can find trade shows, export buyers, is going through the embassies of different countries. Now, your business, you're interested in U.S. market, you're interested in the European market. So what that means is that you have to write the U.S. embassy, write the different countries in Europe that you're interested. If it is Germany that you're interested in shipping to, you write to the embassy of Germany, introducing yourself and your business to them. And for you to do that, you have to have a very good website that represents you and your products. A website that is believable. Because the first point of call that the embassy will do when you write to them is to check your domain. Many Nigerians don't know this. Many Nigerians are genuine businesses and genuine exporters, but they have been writing mails to companies for so many years, and these companies will not, these companies do not answer to them because they're using Yahoo and Gmail. No white person, no white company, no foreign company will respond to Gmail or Yahoo. They think you're a Yahoo. They think you're a 419 when you write them with your Yahoo. Because in their countries, every serious business owns a domain. And so getting domains are as cheap as $45, $50. So they wonder, why is a business writing me a business email with Yahoo and Gmail? So they will immediately, perceive you as a spam. And as a matter of fact, some of these, their email, they have what we call phishing set up on their email, so that when emails come from non-official domains, automatically they won't see it. The phishing technology moves the email to their spam immediately, and they will never see it. And you keep wondering, why am I writing these people? I really want to do business with them. Why am I writing them? And they never respond. And that's because you're using an unofficial email. So the first step is for you to set up your website. Of course, I told you guys we offer these services to different export clients, right? We create export websites. Setting up an ordinary website and setting up an export website are two different things, right? And so us being experienced in export, we know the elements that have to go into, your export website. So we get you a domain in your company name, so that when you write an email to an embassy or a company, automatically they take you seriously and they will reply. So that's the first step. The second step is to set up a proper export website that represents both your company, your product, and yourself, so that it is believable, so much so that once you write an embassy, they write you back. So you write to the embassy of Germany or France, if these are the countries that you're interested in dealing with their companies, introducing yourself and your company and the products that you manufacture or export, and telling them that you are interested in doing business with their companies. What they will do is verify you, investigate you. Maybe they'll send their staff to come and visit your office, or they'll contact the NEPC, which is the easy route that a lot of these companies or embassies go through. They know that if you're an exporter, that you're supposed to be a member of the NEPC. So they will reach out to the NEPC and ask about you. Do you know about this company? They're reaching out and they want to do business with our companies in our country. So do you know about them? If NEPC check and you're on their database and they interface with you and you come for their meetings, automatically they will write and say, yes, we know this person. He's a member of our export community and we know him, right? Now, if the embassy gets that kind of feedback, then they're happy to work for you. What they will now do is send your company details to the different chambers of commerce in their country that deal in the commodities that you export. And that makes it easy. So these companies will will start, reaching out to you. That is one way to go about it. The other way to go about it is not reaching out to the embassy, but reaching out to the chambers of commerce directly, right? They're different. If you come to Europe, there are chambers of commerce for the food processing industry. There are chambers of commerce for the medical equipment manufacturing industry. There are chambers of commerce for solid minerals. That they have all sorts of different chambers of commerce. Then they have general chambers of commerce that have different industries under them. You have to find the chamber of commerce that you want to work with and write them an official email introducing yourself and your company. And of course, you have to have a signature on your email, a signature setup, right? So that at the end of your email, there is a signature there that carries your logo. Sometimes they put their face. CEOs of this company put their faces, their signature, their company, their address, so that every time you send a mail, your signature automatically goes with that email, right? So that they can have a phone number to reach you or an address to actually reach you at. So these are setups you have to have, to make yourself believable. right? So the Chamber of Commerce that you're writing, they see what you're actually proposing. They go look at the signature and they see the website, your website. They click on the website link, immediately it takes them to your website. They see all your products automatically. So if they're convinced that you're genuine, they reach out to you. They reply to your email and ask you, how can we deal? Then you tell them that you're looking for buyers, export buyers in their country or in their chambers of commerce. And it makes it easy for them to actually reach out to the companies. They send out a communique to these companies and say, there's this company in Nigeria, that exports spices, exports solid minerals or anything like that, right? And these companies will start reaching out to you. It has worked for me like that in the past. These companies will start reaching out to you and you start negotiations. And before you know it, you get 1 or 2 or 3 orders, 1 container, 2 containers, half a container, a couple of kilos, right? And that's really how simple it is, but you have to do things properly. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to find export agents, brokers. You have what we call export brokers. So these export brokers, their work is to actually verify the buyers in their country and connect both of you together. So if you reach out to an export broker, you write them an email, you find them on the internet actually, export brokers in Germany, export brokers in Finland, export brokers in America. You find them, you correspond with them, you tell them about your company, they reach out to you, they call you, they ask you a lot of questions. Sometimes they go a step further to contact their embassy in your country or the NEPC, and they verify you. Once you're verified, it makes business easy. So this broker will now go ahead to find companies that are potential businesses that buy your kind of products, right? And they connect you to these companies, and then you pay them a fee. Of course, they charge a fee, or they take a percentage of what you sell, and they facilitate the trade, find companies that are willing to deal with you, and the business goes on. You make your supplies, of course, you make your money. But now, in all of this, never at any time must you ship goods in hopes that you will be paid after you have shipped. International trade is not done like that. We have many novice businesses or many inexperienced businesses who have been Indians do it a lot, Chinese do it a lot, Europeans do it a lot too, right? No matter how white they are, you must suspect every potential buyer reaching out to you from outside Nigeria. A lot of them will say, oh yeah, we want you to ship us two containers of split ginger. Once you ship the goods, we'll pay you money, and you get excited. You calculate 2 containers, and the money is running in millions of dollars, and you're so excited. Oh, I'm going to make so much money, and then you go and raise money. You source, you ship, and your money goes down the drain. Never at any given time must you ship goods to anybody, without receiving your money, even down to samples. A lot of these companies, before they buy from you, they have to ask for samples. You make them pay for the samples unless you want to give them free samples, right? They can order, 1 kg of the goods that you're selling. You tell them the sample price. They send you the money by Western Union. That one, you don't have to create an LC for that one. They can either send you by Western Union or by wire transfer, bank-to-bank wire transfer. Once you confirm the money, you get the samples, package it nicely the way it's supposed to be. You're trying to sell your market now, so you have to send the product in the best form possible to convince them that you have good products. So once you send the samples to them, they test it and they like it, then they will proceed to place the order. So you will now tell them that you need an LC. LCs are invaluable documents. They are terms of trade. They are what we call LCs are financial instruments used in international trade, whether export or import. That is what you use. You demand an LC, a letter of credit. LC is letter of credit. You tell the company, yes, we can ship 10 containers, we can ship 2 containers, we can ship 20 containers, but we need you to open an LC. This company will investigate you, order the samples. When they've tested your samples and they're convinced that you're a genuine company, what they will do, it costs money to open an LC. An LC is a letter, a financial instrument opened by the buyer's bank and sent to the seller's bank. It costs money to generate, right? So they want to make sure that you are a genuine business and that you have capacity to actually give them what they want before they open an LC for you. Because sometimes it will cost them so much money to open the LC. At the end of the day, you're not able to meet the order, or you deliver something stupid and something foolish or something not good, and they lose the money they've spent on the LC, right? So they have to make sure that you're a genuine company and that you have capacity to deliver. And so once they have verified that, their bank will open an LC and send it to your bank. Now, listen, once your bank contacts you and tells you that this company, so and so bank, sent an LC on behalf of so and so company, my brother, you start jumping, because that means the money is sure. The money is not in your bank yet. The money is still in the overseas bank. But the LCs are so powerful that once they are generated, the man cannot cancel the order anymore. He cannot cancel the order, because once he generates the LC, his bank removes the value of the LC from his bank and puts it in what we call an escrow account, right? And that money stays in an escrow account in the buyer's bank, and then they forward the LC to your bank. Once your bank receives the LC, your bank can proceed to give you money to fulfill that order. If your bank does not give you the money to fulfill the order, there are many private financiers who will take the LC and give you money to fulfill the order, right? And so you fulfill the order, you source the goods, purchase the goods, package them nicely, put them in a container, and ship them. Now, the LC carries the terms of trade, the terms and contracts of that trade. And it usually says that once these commodities in the container gets to the buyer's seaport, the bank will release money to you. So once it gets there, there are so many documents that are sent with, the container. Once the bank receives the documents, verifies the documents against the consignment, the container, and sees that everything checks, they will release money to you immediately. Even if the buyer say, no, don't send money, they will release the money to your bank, because these financial instruments are very powerful instruments. They release money to your bank, and once they release the money comes through your bank to your domiciliary account, and you go and withdraw your money in millions or thousands of dollars and change them to naira, and you make so much profit, and there'll be money everywhere, right? And so, but if you make sure that you follow the proper principles of export, and you do not disappoint your export buyer, once you have done the first shipment and it goes well, why people are easy to convince. They will just trust you. Oh, wow, this is a good one. This is a good business. They met the order. They fulfill the order. They will put the next order. A lot of times they may need 20 containers, but they will decide to test you with one container or half a container. If you do well with half a container, they increase to 2 containers. You do well with 2 containers, they increase to 5 containers. You do well with 2 containers, they will increase to 10 containers. If you consistently fulfill the orders without stories, it will come to a point where you people may not even need LC anymore to do business. They'll just call you and say, ship goods, you will ship, because you have a relationship. And in the process of doing business with them over the years, you may have visited their office in Germany or wherever they are. They know you, you know them now. Actually, it makes the business easier, right? But I also recommend that you never, no matter how well you know the business, always insist on an LC, because the LC protects the buyer and protects the seller, right? So these are the one of the financial instruments that saves you. Now, you have to understand that there are different kinds of LCs. We have 30 LC, 30, 60, 90, right? What this means is that these LCs are valid for 30 to 60 to 90 days, right? But I recommend to my mentees, that if you're shipping, demand an irrevocable LC, because Indians do this a lot. They will offer you a 30-day LC. You accept, you say LC is safe now, you ship. Before your consignment, it takes, for some of these Asian companies, it takes 15 days, 1 month or 45 days for the container to get there. While the container is on high sea, they'll cancel it because it's a limited LC. They cancel it, and once they cancel it, your consignment is already on the way. The consignment gets there, you have sent him the bill of lading and all of that. He'll go and clear your goods. You don't have your goods, you don't have your money. So you must always insist on an irrevocable LC, so that even if they try to cancel it, they will never be able to cancel it. And once you ship the consignment correctly, you will get paid, right? So this is what you must insist on. And you must follow and fulfill the contracts of the LC. If they say 20 containers, ship 20 containers. If they give you the specification of the goods they are looking for, the product they're looking for, make sure that you don't cut corners. You give them exactly what they have asked for. Because if the goods get there and they check and the documentation does not match the consignment, they'll cancel it. Even if it's revocable, they'll cancel it because it is not It is not. It does not match. It does not match the how do you call it, the contracts of the consignment, right? So export is good business. Export is sweet business, but you need integrity to become an exporter. You need to be a truthful person. You need to be principled. You need a lot of integrity. You need to be a man of your word. When you say A, you mean A. When you say Z, you mean Z. Otherwise, you run into troubles, right? So as we go on, I will teach you about documentation in export and how you can get a freight forwarder to help you to, get your documentation so that you can export effectively. Eventually, you will also learn, the incentives that the federal government gives. There's something we call the post-export incentive and pre-export incentives. These are some of the incentives the federal government of Nigeria gives to exporters, right? And so as we go on, you will learn all of this. But I want to believe that today I've given you a lot of vital information, that introduces you to the benefits of export in 2024. And I'll stop here. And next Saturday, we'll continue from where we've stopped. If you have any questions, please type it here and I'll try to attend to these questions. Thank you very much for listening. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, that's all right. So do you want us to switch to WhatsApp call? Okay, you can call me on WhatsApp now. Okay, so let me turn up the video so you can call me on WhatsApp or however you want to call. You can call me on regular phone so we can discuss your questions.